today's video I'm going to make some salt dough to do some DIY at-home casting of their little paw prints and footprints to keep. So in a mixing bowl I'm going to have a cup measure of flour and a cup measure of just table salt. And then I'm just going to mix those together. And then I'm going to add a half cup of warm water and I'm going to mix that together. When it starts coming together, you can get your hand in there and start pressing all the pieces together and try and form it into a dough. And while you're kneading your dough, you can add a little more water or a little more flour as desired. And to sort of know when it's going to be ready, if you just sort of take some fingers and see if you can make an impression in it, then that should be good to go. So now we're going to roll this out on the board. Until it's around ½ an inch thick. That seems to be good. So now what I'm going to do is I have a variety of circle shaped cutters. So you can cut them in any shape you want for like each individual animal. I just would like a circle, so I've got different sizes that I can use for my different pets. That's probably about right. I'm going to put some greaseproof paper down and put them on top so that when I then go to remove them, I don't have to keep peeling them off the board and change the shape. I'm also going to put some cling film over the top so that their paws never actually come into contact with anything, because then I don't need to wash them. And then we have the first pet, and we're just going to press his paw onto the dough. So these are the finished prints that we've just taken. If they only come out sort of too light in certain places, then you can get some sort of utensil and just sort of press where you can see like the lines of their paw were, if they're not sort of, if you couldn't get them to submerge their paw too far into it. But now, so these are just I'm going to leave them on this baking paper, probably spread them out evenly onto a baking tray, and they're going to go into the oven for 100 degrees C for 3 to 4 hours, or until they're fully hardened. So the prints are out of the oven and they've been basically cooling down overnight. They were in there for a total of the full 4 hours, and I've chosen a matte varnish to go on them. This is a painting varnish, but you can pretty much use any varnish depending on what colour it is and what you're happy with. So you can use polyurethane, wood varnishes, Mod Podge, PVA glue, anything like that. But this is just the one that I had to hand. I experimented on one that I discarded with a gloss varnish, but it kind of just looked like sweaty dough because they are dough. I think the matte just keeps more of the stone-like effect. I think the gloss just took away from that a little bit. So I've decided to go with the matte varnish. I've done all of the bases and edges on these now, so I'm just going to do the front faces, and then when all of that's dry I'll probably do a second coat, not for effect but just because they are dough and I want to make sure that no moisture can get into them so that they don't ever spoil. You can apparently also just use acrylic paint to cover them, so if you want to paint them a certain colour and you're using acrylic paint, then you don't need to varnish as well. But personally I just prefer the more natural look of them. So I've got this frame from B&M for £10, and I've decided that I wanted something like this, one of these cluster frames where I can take out all the glass and then mount the paw prints onto the backing. And so the backing is this stuff, so I'm just going to paint it in this colour now, and then I'm going over it with a sponge to give it some texture. So this is the finished colour of the backing, and now we are going to fix the paw prints into the frames, and for that we're going to use some No More Nails, which dries invisible. So this is the finished frame and paw prints hung up on the wall in my bedroom. This is like the longest wall that I have above my bed, so I thought it'd be good for this to be the place where it goes, because it's quite a large piece. If I just... So yeah, for some scale. But I am so happy with the way it turned out. I think it looks awesome. And I didn't need to put any names on there because I know exactly whose print is whose. Thank you very much for watching, and do let me know if you go on to make something like this and how yours turned out. You can even tag me in it over on Instagram at Amelie+Friends.